Hello and welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central, the showcase of diaspora culture and talent. With me today in the studio, I have a man that, in all honesty, needs no introduction if you read the credits on a lot of records. This man has done a lot of writing, and when I say writing, I mean good writing. Ladies and gentlemen, Maryland, stand up, because Joe the Pen Powell is in the building. Joe, welcome to Diaspora Central.
Man, thank you for having me.
Brother. Man, am I glad to see you.
Yeah, man, on the other side of the continent.
I'm trying to tell you, right? Whoa, man.
DC to Houston.
Yes, sir. Almost starting to feel like home now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're starting to see the same people. Yeah, and we're starting to feel the right way.
Very familiar vibe in
Yeah,
here.
creative.
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Things that almost look the same way they used to look back in the day.
Feel back in my zone.
Yeah,
for sure.
man. This is your profile interview, so we want to take this opportunity to get to know Joe Powell.
Okay.
You know, before I get started, let me give a little bit of background on my portion. Joe Powell, to me, okay, as a founding member of Exposure Entertainment, Joe Powell was the young man that brought the new vibe to us that were becoming OGs, right? We had to understand what we were hearing. We had to understand what we were honestly listening to. Because, I mean, your melodies, your lyrics, dude, were definitely, are definitely something to reckon with.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Joe, let's start from your infancy.
Okay.
Place where you were born.
Man, Atlanta, Georgia, deep south, dirty south. Yes. Hot
So,
Atlanta.
no wonder. So now it doesn't surprise me much the fact that you always had that kind of
Yes,
vibe
sir.
of that bounce feeling, and I kind of always wondered because I mean I knew you from
DC.
Maryland,
Yeah.
right, DC.
DMV.
So I never thought that it was ATL.
Yeah,
So
man.
ATL should also stand up because you are in the building.
Absolutely. The South, for
Yeah.
sure. That's where it all began.
Indeed.
That's where it all started.
Yeah. So when do you get to Maryland and
So I get to Maryland about high school, about 14, ninth grade year, beginning high school. I move to Maryland, and I bounced around. I didn't stay. I moved all throughout the South.
Okay.
I moved from Atlanta, Georgia, to Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, to Birmingham, Alabama.
Whoa.
Yeah, Birmingham, Alabama. I lived in Syracuse, New York. So I lived.
Oh
I
man,
bounced around.
So you came close to Texas, then way away from Texas, and eventually you land in Maryland.
Yes, sir.
When does that music bud hit
Wow.
Joe?
The music bug hits in high school. Ninth grade year, I just kind of was finding my way. Like I said, I'm in a new place.
Right.
All of my old friends that I had known was
Right.
behind me. So I'm trying to build new relationships in high school. And I found that music and really was our freestyle battling.
Right.
That's what really
So
crossed over.
So it was really hip hop. It was really
Oh yeah,
rap.
for sure. It was
That was
just
the beginning.
the whole freestyle, engaging people publicly. Had the whole circle around me, the whole energy.
Oh, so you guys were ciphering.
Yeah, that's what it started. That's where it all started. Was the battle rapping in high school for me, and I kind of built a name for myself that way.
As a battle rapper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And so from that point, it just grew because after I grew the skill at actually battle rapping and building a reputation for that, then it became, man, I want to record these songs. I want to have something where I can record, but I had no skills whatsoever in how to actually take these sounds and these words and these melodies and put them on tape.
Right.
That was something brand new for me.
And at that point you're in DC already.
Yes, I'm in Maryland.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah. And so, yeah, at that point, I started doing everything I can, recording to, everything I can get my hands on. But finding a studio was something that was really, well, actually, before I got to the studio, let me say, it went from making beats.
Oh.
Because what it was is I was looking for producers. Yeah.
Got you.
After I was rapping, I was looking for so many producers to make me beats.
Okay.
And it was so frustrating on waiting for someone or trying to find a exact beat that I needed. So I was like, man, I got to learn how to do this skill.
Right.
So it went from the rapping to just actually production. And I went to a whole time of just producing.
So you start making your own beats.
Yes, sir.
You remember the first piece of gear that you bought?
Yeah, well, there was software, computers.
Oh,
That was
okay.
all on.
So you always stayed in the box.
Yeah, it was always this computer software.
That's right. Because sometimes I forget. Because that's where you can tell the generational change. Because when I came up, we were still dealing with the sequencer, right? You got the sequencer,
the beat pad,
the tape machine, the beat pad, either the Yamaha or the Oh Lord, man. Anyway.
So I mean, but that's what it was for me. I was just really engaged in trying to learn every aspect because I wanted to be self-contained.
Right.
I didn't want to have to rely on anyone for my creative ability in creating something. And so it was like the beats aspect, and went from the recording aspect to even the making, actually writing my own songs.
Right.
So I feel like I went through phases of every aspect trying to build myself 360 degrees so I could never have to rely on anyone to do what I love to do.
So you're basically fulfilling your needs at that point in time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now let me kind of rewind back a little bit. While you were battling rapper, do you remember the first? Just give me, if you remember. I just need a couple of lines of your first battle rap.
Oh my God, these were so long ago, man.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very.
Yeah. If you remember, just give it to us, because this is where we document culture.
Okay. I had one that was like, I'm a A-Town veteran, DC resident, A-Town veteran, DC resident, worldwide soldier. It was like DC represent or something like that. So it was just always trying to capture every part of my identity.
Very braggadocious.
Absolutely. Just trying to capture at that young time, because it's all about identity.
Yeah.
It's all about trying to find yourself, know who you are, and present and project that to people in a way that is cool and hot. And that's just what I was at that time. Right now, I'm like I said, I have more focused and shifted to the actual songwriting side and
penmanship.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I just think that writing, just really bringing words to life and ideas to life, manifestation.
Yeah,
that's what I tell people all the time. Songwriting is a spiritual process.
Indeed. I mean, dude, because I can tell you right now, some of the things that you express sometimes in your songs. I mean, honestly, a lot of times we used to sit there like on like, especially when I was doing backups. Sometimes I'm doing backup of the system, and I'm just going through the stuff that everyone has done to make sure that it is at the right location and stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, where in the world did Joe pull these words from, man?
And I just remember that time, you guys, at that time, coming in exposure, I was so kind of overwhelmed because it was the first time being in such just an official environment.
Right.
The creation of music was just, it was endless. It was a constant, endless environment. And being
open
around
canvas.
you guys,
open, clean canvas.
It was a very, intimidating at first. But I think that I think for you guys, it was the, because I think a lot of you guys were like, yo, who's this young kid coming in here, trying to spend all this time in the studio. But it was, for me, it was just a consistency. I think what you guys seen over time is just the consistency of just my passion and coming and keep trying, keep building, and keep getting better and better.
Dude, and we were paying definitely close attention to you, because I mean, our introduction to that mindset was Jarrett.
Oh yeah,
right, Young Boy. We actually had nicknamed Jarrett Young Boy, right? But before you get to exposure, because I mean, even in Maryland, you kind of got linked up with some of those crews.
Oh, yeah.
Let's kind of try to get some of those guys in, and how does that happen? And I mean, I remember that Charles Dyson, may he rest in peace.
Yes, man.
Yeah, man.
Big up to Charles.
Indeed.
Big Charles.
Was one of the connections here.
Yeah.
So kind of go through that process.
Man, he was instrumental. Instrumental. Like I said, I was going through a time where I was trying to develop as an artist, just as develop my craft, and I knew I needed help.
Yeah.
And at this time, I don't think Facebook was even big at the time. It was still MySpace. It was still MySpace, and I was just looking for anybody in the area who had experience in what I was trying to do.
Right.
And I found this guy, Charles Dyson, and he had all the credits. He had worked with, some big artists at the time, J-Lo, Maya, Raheem Devon. He had worked with a lot of the biggest artists in the city. And at that time, it was just like, this is the guy I need to know. If I can just get as close as to him and show him what I'm working with, he can help me navigate through these
the system.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And I actually reached out to him on MySpace, and actually it was his brother, Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos, yeah.
And I remember I hit Carlos like, man, I'm a songwriter, I'm a music man, I'm trying to get connection to your brother, if there's any way I can meet him. And he was like, you know what? We having dinner tonight at the Catfish House at Clinton. He was like, why don't you come by? I'll introduce you. So I'm like, all right, cool. And it was literally the first time I met Charles, it felt like just like Italian mob bosses, sitting in the back of the restaurant.
Yeah, son, that click didn't play games, son. So Charles never play games. Yeah, I'm gonna share a story with you in a minute.
It was really, it felt like, one of those scenes where it was just like you getting inducted into the mafia family, and they really embraced me because they believed in it. And Charles, he sat and he really listened to every one of my songs. Indeed. He really gave me, his opinion. Yeah, for sure. And he was like, he took me under his wing. He's the one who actually brought me to exposure, introduced me to Reggie. Yeah. And that man, I can't even speak enough on all of the things that he taught me. He taught me about being self-contained, about being able to be self-reliant, and not having to rely on others to do what I do best.
Exactly.
And I really, appreciate him for everything he's done for not just me, but everybody in the city and back in DMV. He's a staple for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. But let's take a very quick break, man, because we gotta come back and we gotta continue this conversation, man. We in the break, we're gonna play something or show a video of something done at Exposure, just to kind of give our viewers and our listeners some an idea of what that environment was like and what it really happened. We'll be right back. You are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles.
Now snap that, pop that. Now snap that, pop that. Now snap that, pop that. Now snap that. Let's go.
Every time I walk up to the corner, I see you. Brand new pair of kicks on, fresh as can be. Mama told me never give a bad boy my number, but I'm really feeling you, so I just had to sleep. I got a crush on the hustler. I got a crush on the thug. I got a crush on you, baby. I think I'm in love. All I do is think of you, even though I'm not supposed to. I can't get you off my mind. They say you're no good for me, no good for me. All I do is think of you, even though I'm not supposed to. I can't get you off my mind. I think I'm in love.
And we are back. If you have just tuned in, you are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles. And with me in the studio today, I have Joe Powell, a writer, singer, songwriter, producer, engineer. Joe.
Yes, sir. What's going on, man?
Man, you just gave us a background on how you ended up at Exposure, but there's a portion there that I also kind of want to make sure that we track.
Okay.
Because you have formal education in recording.
Yes, sir.
So let's go through that process.
Okay. After high school, like I said, by that time, all through high school, just my passion for music grew each for freshman, sophomore, junior. So by the time I graduated, I knew at that point, going to a 4-year college was not something I would be totally zoned in on. I needed to really hone in on my music skills. So I decided to go to a technical school, audio engineering and music production at Omega in Rockville, Maryland.
Yeah.
And I spent a year just really learning sound, music theory and all of the details and intricateness of sound and how music is developed and produced. Which was a really foundational point in my understanding and being self-contained. Right. Really getting the educational pieces.
Right. And at that point, Omega also in Maryland, it was a staple.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you were doing anything in that area as a producer, you had to either go through Omega or you had come from Omega, right? Very few of us had been lucky enough to have a record that's spun on the radio without going through that.
Yeah, man, it was big. I think they even produced the Outkast album at that time. It was Grammy Award winning. They had a lot of credits. You know.
Oh yeah, that was the place to be. I mean, shout out to that location because it honestly gave people in Maryland a home environment to work in. So you went to Omega, you get out of Omega, now you.
Man, I'm a free man. I'm ready to really just spread my wings because it got to a point where I had worked with so many artists in DC at that point. Every type of artist, gospel artists, hip hop artists, R&B artists, go-go artists.
Right. You were just working.
Man, just trying to just build my resume, just trying to get it in. And it got to a point where I felt like I started to outgrow my cage a little bit, and I needed to spread my wings and stretch my feet. And I think that I expressed that to Charles a couple of times, and he told me I was hearing all these stories about them in L.A. and New York and in these bigger markets where they had these stories about the experiences that they had, and that was something.
And they were really big around that time.
Hell yeah, they had.
Toto was killing it. Man,
they had huge Hugs. Shout out to Hugs.
Yeah,
he was one of the song where he wrote for Maya Fallon, he wrote for J-Lo, he wrote for Huge, and so these were my mentors at the time. So yes, when it was time, I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was in Exposure in the studio working one night, and I got the call from Charles. He was like, "Man, pack your bags, you're going to LA." And they had a gig for me at the time. MySpace had just signed a deal with Interscope.
Right.
And they were doing a deal on Christina Milian and another artist named Jordan Taylor. And they wanted me to come to write on the album. So, yeah, man, that was like hitting the lottery for me at that moment. Just getting to really go to a place where you could really, measure if you really are as good as you say.
That's your real test.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Either is you is or is you ain't.
That was it, And I remember coming home and just packing my bags. My mom come in the room like, "Where do you think you're going?" "Oh, I'm going to L.A. I'm out here. I'll see y'all later." And yeah, man, it was just really just the beginning of a long journey for me. For sure.
Yeah. Because so you go, you get that done. Your first song that breaks, which one was?
First song that breaks. Well,
or let's actually go. The first one that that gets shopped. Let's even go that way.
Well, yeah, I had several. See, that's the thing, man. Like when I got to that level, I had a lot of opportunities. I had records on Christina Milian, had records on Jordan Taylor, I had records on a lot of artists. It's just actually coming out. See, that's the thing. Christina Milian's album never actually came out on MySpace and Interscope. She ended up getting dropped before the album. So it's like I had these things where it's like, man, I got the opportunity to do it, but then you gotta. Actually have the opportunity. It's
like you get it done, and you're excited while this thing is being done, and you know that you have a masterpiece, and then next thing you know, it just freezes. It gets shelved for some reason, for some business reason.
Yes, sir.
Right? And to be honest with you, I sometimes wonder if one day they're just gonna pick up and decide, you know what, they're gonna take a lot of these records that they have shelved throughout the years. And just start putting them out as shelved records. I just gave my idea out now.
But one of the things Charles taught me was that there's the music business,
right,
and then there's the business of music.
Exactly.
And the business of music is another jungle that you have to learn. And that's what I really, that's the journey that I had to go through when I got to LA. It was learning the business of music.
Right.
And that really helped me understand and really zone in on how I wanted to be effective in this business.
Right.
Is really understanding what the business expects of you.
Indeed. And one of the things that a lot of people don't understand also coming into this business, and especially younger people, a lot of times they don't realize that it's not even just the connection that you get. It's really you being ready for that opportunity.
Right.
Because when Charles reaches back at you and he says, "Joe, pack your bags, let's go," you got to be ready.
Oh, yeah.
He can't be one of those, kind of deal, because at that point in time, this man has got his reputation on the line, and this is heavy reputation because this is a brand new label. They got become something, and they reached out to him because they knew that these guys got what it takes to make this label something.
The relationships, man. I mean, the business is all about relationships.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, if you can maintain relationships and you can really stick to what you say and deliver on what you say, you'll have a long career.
Indeed.
But if you burning bridges in this business, it's not going to be.
No, it doesn't go
longevity
far.
for
It
you.
doesn't go far.
Not at all.
It doesn't go far. And you got to make sure also that you keep that positive energy, right? That energy's got to be right. The energy's got to be correct. It's got to be the right energy, because with the wrong energy also things can go a whole different route. Now, challenges.
Well, that's what I wanted to go into next. I think going into music, I think I had, you know, expectations of what I wanted and how fast it was going to happen for me. But that's the thing. I wanted to be major radio, major label. I wanted to do, you know, the biggest records on the. I wanted to be in that lane.
Right.
I wanted to write for the biggest artists, and have the biggest records on the radio.
Right.
But what I started to realize, what all the writers want that.
Right.
Everybody's trying to get those same spots. Everybody's trying to get those same slots. And you know. It's like hitting the lottery when it gets down to it. And so what I learned over the course of time is that you got to find a space. You got to find a lane that you can occupy where ain't nobody really there.
Indeed.
You can own
Create-
it. You know,
create
create
your
a
lane.
lane.
Yeah,
You know,
create
and
your
so
lane.
that's I began to look and scour the business and scour the business for a lane for me.
Right.
Something that I could. And what I found was that TV and film was just as powerful and lucrative as the radio business.
There you go.
And but you know the opportunities were more vast, and I could get my music really a chance to get life in the movies and films in this lane. Trying it that way, and that's really where I really began to find my success.
And that's what basically that how you later on end up going back to LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point in time, you now in a whole different level.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But dude, I'm gonna tell you one thing. The one record for me that put you in the pedestal, dude. I was like, listen, no one can say anything bad about this kid here, because I'm gonna tell you right now, this kid has got something.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Dude, it was Windows.
Oh man, yeah, that was
Son,
Rihanna record.
I listened to that record. I was like, yo.
Yeah, that was a song I wrote specifically for a Rihanna project. Early in her career.
Right.
Didn't really work out for that, but it was a crazy record,
Son,
and so many people, you know, really loved it.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now. I honestly think that we should put out that record next year. We should put out that record next year.
That would be
No, seriously. I told Reggie the same thing. I said, Reggie, seriously, dude, we playing around, man. We really playing around. We sitting on a lot of good, like, huge records.
Yeah,
right?
man. That's a lot of big ones that
Mad
never
records.
saw the light of day.
Dude.
That never saw the light of day, bro. And that was definitely one of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Windows was like, boom.
sure.
So, Superman was also deep.
Superman,
Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah.
Frozen.
Frozen. Oh, Frozen. No, dude, Frozen was a masterpiece. Son.
Frozen was a big
Frozen
one.
was a masterpiece. I was like, look, I think everyone, once they listen to Frozen, they honestly visualize.
Yeah.
That's a visual description. No director, actually, no person can say that they cannot direct that video. Yeah. That song is so.
Yeah, and actually that song got picked up in some TV and film shows as well. It's
Yeah.
actually that song is actually doing well.
That's a good thing. So he gets the 6 months. Indeed, that's what it is about. As long as he makes that 6 month
Yeah,
line every 6 months,
For
something
sure.
chings.
For
That's
sure.
what it is about, because a lot of people don't know that about the business. Right? They think that it's all about you get that done,
Yeah.
pay the producer, right, or whatever, and I mean pay the artist or the artist pays you and be done, and that's it. They don't realize that there's actually publishing, and that's something that I want to kind of touch on when we come back from this break. So let's kind of go into something else about Joe Powell or Exposure Entertainment. And if you are listening to, I'm even getting tongue tied, man. You are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and I have Joe Powell. Back. If you're just tuned in, you are listening to Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and my guest today, Joe Powell, is here talking about production. Joe,
appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be here.
Writing Joe, singing Joe, writing Joe, battle rapper Joe. I never knew you were a battle rapper.
Yeah, man. That's where it started. Yeah. That's where it all began.
It's just to show us how life. Works.
Mm-hmm.
It just progresses one step at a time, and when you're taking those steps, it's like it's so solid that you solidify yourself to a point that you can really be knocked down.
Yeah.
People can even do things trying to mess you up; they'll never impact you because you're solid on the platform where you're standing. You built it.
Absolutely.
And so Joe picks up, and he's now in LA. He's now writing for television shows. It's composing for movies.
Well, actually, I just realized that before I got to the movie thing, I skipped a little bit.
Go ahead.
When I was in LA, I was working with one of the biggest producers in the game, Rodney Jerkins, Dark Child. I was in his studio working with him and Nico. I don't know if you remember his name, Ace. He was a rapper. Me and Ace had got a song with Rodney.
Right.
And I was getting ready to do a deal, like a production deal with Rodney.
Right.
Which to this day I'm glad I never did, because as I say, it's crazy how God works, because you never know. In that moment, that's what I wanted more than anything, you know, but it didn't end up working out. But now I realize that was for the best, you know. And because what ended up happening is a friend of mine introduced me to a kid who used to play on Hannah Montana, a kid named Cody Linley. He played the boyfriend of Hannah Montana.
Yeah.
And we were introduced. He had just, finished the show. He was on Dancing with the Stars. He got paid all this money. He bought a house, and he built this studio in his house.
Right.
But he didn't know how to run it.
Right.
And so he was looking for somebody who had some, technical background, musical skills, could, help him run the studio. So we got introduced, and he was like, next thing I know, I'm working with the kid and producing his music, and that just led into where I said the TV and film. He had all of these young Hollywood stars that he had met being on Disney and Nickelodeon, which really gave me an opportunity to work with the young Hollywood community, and really just enhance my skills even more. And that's where I really feel like I really developed the ability to not just produce, but to develop other artists. Develop other artists.
Because and that's what I was gonna say. Because the funny thing is, okay, you the kid at Exposure, and now you're the big man. What was that clip was what? Unique ability.
Unique ability.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember some things, man.
I didn't know you remember that. But
I remember some things, man.
That was a whole nother time, and really, that's what I'm saying. That time, I was in Hollywood. I was working every day in the studio. I was working with some of the most talented people in the world. I wasn't getting paid for it. I wasn't making the Grammys, and I wasn't. But the experience that came with that time was just can't put a price on it.
The exposure. That this is basically you getting paid to do what you love.
Yes, man.
Right.
That's what it was. It was like college. It was like college. Really, just learning and experiencing and getting to work with people that I would have never been able to work if I had stayed in my little box. And so that part really helped me and pushed me and propelled me to a place where I could really make some money in this
Right.
game now. You know,
Yeah.
I could really take these songs and this catalog that I developed and learn how to build a career,
Right.
A financial career.
Yeah.
Off of it.
Now talking about, you mentioned one word that I kind of want to go and develop a little bit more, which is catalog. A lot of people don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catalog is just it's of your work. It's a record of all of the work that you've built and done over the years.
Right.
All the songs and production that you've been involved with. Your record, your catalog is just a portfolio.
Right.
It's a resume of your skills and ability as an artist.
Yeah. And now just to kind of elaborate a little bit more, a lot of people will think that that's basically you just write on a piece of paper all the names of the songs that you got. No. That actually means that you have your music registered with your publishing company or your publisher, so that in case anyone goes and uses that song or a portion of that song on anything, then you hear that ching ching 6 months later.
Yeah, man, it's ownership.
Yeah.
Man. That's the thing about us as a culture is that I don't think we stress enough is the value of ownership.
Yeah.
And making sure protecting what's yours.
Right.
You know, it's like we're so creative sometimes and we like, man, I'm so good at this.
Yeah.
But you can make songs, but if you don't protect the songs that you make, you
They'll be
really
gone.
aren't. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be gone.
You aren't doing much.
So someone else will maximize
Absolutely.
the capitalization of it and leave you high and dry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but understanding that process, definitely. Now, one of the things, the first time I actually pulled you in the studio to do a collaboration on a project that I was working on was Irina, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was Irina. It was Irina.
Yes. Angolan artist.
Now, I'm going to give you a secret that you didn't know at that point in time. We did 2 songs with her at that point in time. Well, you actually, you gave input on a lot of them. You carried 2 on your back. The first one was, I think it was Sega, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sega. And the second one was Saint Limites. I just remember it was like track number 7 on the album.
Okay.
Track number 7 in the album, dude, we sat on that record for like about 3 months. It and I picked up, we wrote it. And we were just kicking back. Blaze was like not feeling that record at all. He was just not feeling it. Blaze was like, yo, this thing is just all over the place, this and that or whatever. I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to record. So I went on and I recorded the reference. And one day I was listening to that joint, and I'll be honest with you, as I was listening to that song, dude, I started kind of like imagining you doing the melodies for it. I was leaving work, going to the studio. I got to the studio. You were in the studio. That's when I was like, dude, I need you on this. I need you on this record. And dude, it's so funny because I mean, Sega actually, whoa, yeah, that one charted number 4 that year in Europe, in Portugal.
That's crazy.
Yeah, top 4, man. Her album actually ended up charting top 4 in Portugal.
Yeah, and the song was written in English and Portuguese.
In Portuguese, yeah. That
2
was a
different
hot record.
languages.
Hot record.
Yeah.
But I want to get back to the creative process, the sense of ownership. We all get burnt in this. We all get burnt in
Man,
this
it's
business.
so true. But that's how you learn.
It's part of the game,
Yeah,
right?
man, that's how you learn.
Yeah, you can't go through it without it. What would you advise a young person coming into the business to do?
Read, man. Just read as much as you can on the subjects.
Educate
man.
yourself.
Yeah, it's just so much literature. It's so much out there, especially now with the internet. You know, back in that, and you know, in the past, it was harder to you know get the information or without going to school and being taught.
Right.
But now you have access to so much information, and I would just say, read, man. Study your craft. Intensely
Right.
and get all the information that you need about what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. Just don't go in the dark. Don't walk,
Definitely. Nah, you don't
walk
want to.
blindly in
Nah,
this
you don't
business at all, man. Because
Yeah.
there's hyenas
Yeah.
everywhere.
They don't
So,
sleep for long, man.
yeah,
They don't
man.
sleep for long. Now, one thing, you also have a nonprofit in place now. Yeah, give us a little bit of
Yeah, the nonprofit is called IAMI, and it stands for I Am Infinite, and it's a civic engagement human rights organization.
Yeah.
And how it came to be, I actually started when I first moved here to Houston. I really just was getting to the legal aspects and political aspects of, just like I said, the as you say, the diaspora, just us as a people, a community in this country. Just the pitfalls that we've came into over history about trying to, be a part of this country and see ourselves as a part of this country. But the real thing that I feel we overlook is the legal aspect. Like you said about music, the business aspect. We just want to get to the music. We just want to get to the rights. We want to have rights, but you got to understand where those rights are cultivated, where they are created. And so I spent a lot of time reading state codes, United States codes, reading the legal dictionary, the Black Laws Dictionary, understanding that there was a whole language outside of the English language. The law, the legalese is a language. Every word that we use in English, there's a legal definition. And if you don't understand the legal definition of the language you're using, then you really, for sure. And so that's what my this company is geared towards. We're geared toward the community, urban community, and civically engaging them on the world and the society, how our society is engineered legally.
You're a grown man. You're a grown man, man. But you know what? Besides every grown, strong man, there's always a woman.
Oh, man, for sure.
Yeah, you're a married man now.
Yes, sir.
What's her name?
Brittany Powell.
Shout out to Brittany.
We met in LA. She's a creative person too. She went to school for journalism and media and journalism. So, like I said, she's a writer. We both have this love for words. Mine comes through musically and creatively. She comes through journalism and writing. She's a writer. She's authored her own book.
Oh, great.
She's spoken and speaks. She's a speaker. So yeah, she's our love for words and teaching is very tied. That's why I think
you need to bring Brittany the next time you come.
She would love it. Yeah, this is her environment for sure.
She definitely needs to come down, and then maybe we need to start something for Brittany so that she can get that going, right?
For women, because she has a real message for women as well. Yeah, young women. That's what her book is about. It's called Honeybees and Wallflowers. And it's an autobiography about her life and her transition as a woman.
Got you. Her story.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, man, congratulations, Joe. We're short of time, but we definitely gonna continue this conversation. We got to continue this conversation. We gotta do this a series. You and I, we bonded at the hip, brother.
Yes,
we got to do this.
For sure,
you know what? It's funny. I just realized, man, wow, amazing. It's like, for the first time, this show went so fast.
Yeah. It doesn't even feel like we've been here that long.
No, good conversation, man. But we'll be back. So thank you all for tuning, but definitely stay on lock. You are listening to Diaspora Central. Until next time, you take care of yourself.